Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make an object enterable, or something like a barrel or a dumpster or a refrigerator box, or the inside of a car or a helicopter. Those are the car and the helicopter, those are a little bit different, and we'll maybe do this as a separate example at the end of this video. Here I'm just going to start with a simple thing you can get in and out of. I have one room here, end of road. In the end of the road is an object called wooden barrel, and you'll see here that wooden barrel is open and it is emitting light. So if you want to be inside something and you want to be able to see, you need to check this. So let's just run it and see what happens. So if I try to enter the barrel, it'll probably say you can't enter that. Why does it say you can't enter that? Well, because I need to say where I end up when I enter the barrel. So if you notice these room connections here, you can say I want to enter the barrel. If I enter the barrel, I end up in the barrel. So you set the object that you enter equal to itself. Now I'm actually inside of that object. Now where this gets a little interesting is, what if like I got into the car and then I want to be in, I enter the jet plane and now I want to be in the cockpit. I could have it take me to a totally separate room. That's also an acceptable way of doing this. And then when I go back out, let's say I want to be on the end of the road. So let's launch the player here, and now I enter the barrel, and large wooden barrel is open at the top. Okay, so now I'm inside the wooden barrel, and now it says the large wooden barrel is open at the top. So, and what happens if I get out? Now I'm back at the end of the dirt road. Okay, but here's what's interesting. What if I wanted the description of the barrel to be different when I'm inside the barrel as opposed to when I'm outside of the barrel? So if, let's say there's a tool shed here, and when I describe it from the outside, I want to say it's a small tool shed, with a door or something. And then when I'm inside it, maybe I want it described totally differently. So how could you do something like that? Just change the description based on whether you're inside of the object or outside of the object. Well, we can make sentences for that. So let me make a function here called Enterable. And I'll click New. And I'll say, what I'm going to do is say the wooden barrel's description, wooden barrel dot description equals, okay, you are inside a large wooden barrel which is open at the top. So now it's saying I'm inside the barrel. That's a different description now. Now when do I call this function? Well, this is where it gets kind of tricky, because I want this to run right before the player actually moves into the barrel, because when you move, the room description gets printed out. So we need to make sure that this gets called right before we do the move, not instead of the move or after the move. So if I go to sentences here and I say get in the barrel, where's get in? Enter. I'm looking for enter. Enter, go in. Yeah, there it is. Enter the barrel. Call the enter barrel function. Oh, there we go. Junk in there. Okay. And I'm going to say do that before. I want to do that right before I actually do the action of moving. All right. Now let's run this. And there's the wooden barrel. Now if I type enter the barrel, wooden barrel, you are inside a large wooden barrel which is open at the top. So notice right before we moved, we changed the description of the barrel. But now we have a bit of a problem, right? So if I go out, right, I get out of the barrel, and it says there's a wooden barrel here. Now if I examine the barrel, you can see it says you're inside a large wooden barrel which is open at the top. Right? Because that's what we changed that barrel's description to. How would we change it back? Well, let's make a function to do it. So if I click on functions here, and All right, let's make a function called leave barrel. No, let's make a function called, well, there could be, we could be getting out of lots of objects here. So let's just make a function called get out. And what if there were several things you could get in or out of? So what we'll do is we'll say if the player is in the barrel, the player's holder is the wooden barrel. Well, then what we want to do is change the description of the barrel. Wooden barrel dot description equals and then we want to set it back to what it looks like when we're outside of the barrel. So to do that, I'm just going to pop back over to the wooden barrel, grab the description, and paste it in there. And that is it. So now let me wire this up to a sentence. So this is all this thing does is say if the player is in the wooden barrel, change the description of the wooden barrel. And it doesn't really, we don't want to call this instead of the move. We want to do it either before or after the move. So let's do it before the move. Let's say, so when we say get out, and then they're just going to type out. Like they're not going to type out barrel. So this is all they're going to type, out. Then call the function get out, and we'll do it before the move, right? So now let's try that and see if it works. Launch player, there's a wooden barrel. Enter the barrel. Boom, now we're inside the wooden barrel. Cool, let's get out. And there's a wooden barrel here. Let's examine the barrel. Large wooden barrel is open at the top. So what we have there is an object, and we're changing the description of the object based on whether we're inside of it or outside of it. Now, what if you wanted to model like a getaway vehicle or something like that, and like once you get into this room, you've won the game and you're not going to get back out. Then what I would do is let's pretend that this is the scenario we have here. Let me just make, I'll make an object right here, right? I'll make two objects. Oh, I should have made them both lit. What have I got? Okay, 4 and 5. Let's make that lit, emitting light, and let's call this a car, and let's put it in the road, and let's make it open so we can get inside it. And what I'm going to do here for the next object, I'm going to make a room called inside car. And then here, I could put it, what kind of car it is and what I see and all of that. And then what I can do here is I can say if I enter the car, it leads to inside the car, right? So now when I get in the car object, I'm not actually in the car object. I've been teleported to a different object. This is and if this is your end game scenario, this is probably the easier of the ways to do it. Don't worry about monkeying with the descriptions and all that. So let's test this out, just make sure it works. There's a car here. Okay, enter the car. Inside the car. Notice, so now I'm not actually in the car object. When I entered the car object, I got teleported to a new room called inside car. And the player doesn't really know that you're doing this sleight of hand behind the scenes, but there you go. And notice I can't get back out because I didn't hook that up. So, but I could have, right? I could have said, out leads you back to the end of the road. So let's run that. Enter the car. No, you notice the next, and I get out. Why can't I get out? I don't know. Oh, because I set it on the wrong object. Let's go to inside car. Inside cars out leads you to the end of the road. Okay, so there's the car. Enter the car, right? And then now I'm in a room called inside car. If I get out, now I'm back on the road. So so you can do it that way too. You could have entering the object takes you to a different room, and then when you get out of that room, you go back to where you would be when you left the object. The only downside to doing it this way is, like, let's say you were putting stuff in the car, you would be putting them in this object, you'd be putting them in the car object, and they wouldn't end up in the inside car object. You'd have to make a sentence that said, after I put something in the car, move it to inside of the car. You'd have to put in some extra kind of glue or logic to teleport objects from the from the container you're putting them in to the room that's modeling the inside of that container. That's the only downside to doing the modeling the inside of an object as a separate room. So there you go. That's how to model an object that you can get into and out of. And obviously, if you need help getting your endgame scenarios to work, just let me know, and I'd be happy to help you.